I get up on stage fully high on mushrooms, and I completely bomb. I fully bomb. I'm Durena. This is the time I did stand-up on 2 grams of mushrooms. So I was probably about 3 years into comedy, and I was heading to an open mic. On my way there, I stopped at a buddy's place he was like my guy who I got my mushrooms from. And I picked up 12 grams of mushrooms off of him. And I just headed straight over to this mic. When I got there, I had the bright idea that I was going to eat some of these mushrooms. My plan was I was going to eat half a gram of mushrooms and then go on stage and then kind of feel what it's like to have just a little mushroom buzz in your body. But the inside the bag that had all the mushrooms in it were these individual bags that were all different amounts of mushrooms. I thought I had grabbed a 1 gram bag and I ate half of it, but I had grabbed a 4 gram bag of mushrooms. So now I have 2 grams of mushrooms coursing through my body as I'm sitting waiting for my spot at this open mic. I get up on stage fully high on mushrooms and I completely bomb. I fully bomb. And I have all these feelings of embarrassment, regret, but that was just the start of this mushroom trip. So I went home, and when I got there, I was home alone. None of my roommates were there. So then I was like, well, why don't I just get high on mushrooms? So I took the other 4 grams of mushrooms that was mine, and I just ate all the 4 grams of mushrooms. The way some people describe doing drugs, I did DMT and it changed my life and I quit my job after. And you see that and you're like, it's just some guy on a hippy dippy trip. But this was so powerful. So I went in my bed, I just took a towel, I put it over my eyes. So I was I'm going to kind of do a sensory deprivation thing as I trip out on mushrooms. The first stage was, it felt like I was sleeping, but conscious. It felt like my body was asleep, but my mind was learning everything that happened to my body as I was sleeping. I could feel my ears clearing. I could feel my sinuses clearing, knots in my back untying. I could just feel my whole body loosening up. It was my mind being taught by my body what happens when I sleep and why it's important to sleep and how this rest is repairing my body. Because at the time, I had 2 jobs. I was doing stand-up. I was streaming on Twitch. And so there'd be days where I would sleep 3 or 4 hours and then just rush off to the next thing. And I was constantly exhausted. Then it moved into this massive emotional revelation. I started to have a huge moment of self-acceptance, stuff that I had never experienced before. I'd always been someone who was very insecure about the way I look, about who I was, about what I was doing with my life, about my body, everything. I was the kind of person I would go into a party with a bunch of people I don't know and just think, everyone hates me. In this mushroom trip, I started to unpack all of these things and think about my relationship with my parents, with my friends, different moments throughout my childhood. Everything I felt about my insecurities were built off of things that other people had taught me and other people had told me. It was an extremely heartwarming, loving experience. I was laying in my bed, hugging myself, actually, feeling like I could feel comfortable in my skin for the first time ever. And then this evolved into me getting out of bed, going and looking in the mirror and just saying, I love you to myself. There was mushroom me and there was normal, sober me. And mushroom me was looking at me through the mirror and teaching me and telling me that you need to love yourself and you should love yourself. After I had come down a little bit, I was sitting down and I kind of had my hands crossed like this. It felt like half of me was mushroom me and the other half was sober me. And it was holding each other. If it wasn't for that, I don't know who I would be right now. Because when you do mushrooms by yourself, there isn't this pressure to be entertaining or talk to people or be social. You can be completely selfish, which is really good sometimes. You can just have this moment of introspective and unpack your garbage and potentially change your life.
Tales from the